What's up, everybody? Celtic Character here, back with another video to get those 10s and 20 views. Yes, I know I'm wearing a hockey hoodie in the middle of June, but it's a bit chilly here in South Jersey. But enough of that. Getting on to today's video. I need a new topic, and the one I've been working on for a tiny bit. I think it's finally time to do the video, and that is animes / cartoons that, based off the description of the show, basic synopsis of the show, should not have been popular. Now, this isn't saying like shows like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, which is weird as hell, shouldn't have been popular. Well, no, because JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, all the weirdness is normal in that show. Much like every isekai, where a person gets teleported to a different world and has to survive in that world and end up being the hero. Well, guess what? That's normal for that world. Now, these are shows, one is a little bit on the weird side, that just reading the more or less plot of the show, you would think there's no way this show would ever be popular. I got 6 shows. I will go over all 6, and I'll start off showing off the intro to the show, or at least a clip from the show. And I'm also going to go from like the least egregious to what I think is the worst egregious show in this, and logically saying like, why did we like this show? Alright, we are starting off with that's right, Beastars, you know, the more realistic version of Zootopia. It's a show that I'm currently mad at because it's the final season, ran for the normal length of the season, and it was part 1 of part 2 because Netflix doesn't believe in saying like, hey, there's one more season. No. But yeah, no, the basic plot of the show is basically, like I said, more realistic Zootopia. Everyone who lives there are just animals, and they need to, all the carnivores actually do need to eat meat, protein. There's a black market, and the main character, Legoshi Grey Wolf, almost eats a tiny bunny. Said tiny bunny is more or less the reason why a lot of people will turn this show off, because one episode she does like strip down to a bra and panty, thinking she's gonna just sleep with this giant wolf. And yeah, I don't blame you. The bunny is a hoe. I'm not denying that. But it's like, once you kind of get past that first initial furry culture shock of the show, it actually has a really good plot. Like the first episode, a sheep gets eaten and everyone doesn't know who it is. Legoshi somehow tries to overcome the fact that he's a carnivore. He's actually not a true gray wolf like his grandfather. Spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't watched this show. Look, I think there's enough time. Is a Komodo dragon. His mom was a hybrid that was ended up like taking her own life because of she wasn't ashamed of kind of the crossbreed. And it's like, the show is way deeper than people just think it's the furry show. No, it's actually a really deep show, and it's actually, you know, pretty good show. That's actually only got put on this list because of the fact that no one will probably give it a shot because it's the furry show. This next one, the next 2 are going to hit me in the childhood. Actually, all these are going to hit me in the childhood, but the next one is
Studley! Oh! Check the facts. Man, I'm pretty.
Johnny Bravo. One, there is a guy who did a great cosplay of it. Jacked, had the nice size pompadour, had the mentality. I'll play a clip of him if I can find it. If not, at least have the photo of him up here. But yeah, Johnny Bravo's plot of the show is Johnny Bravo, who's loosely based off Elvis Presley and James Dean. That pretty much that Johnny Bravo, this, according to I think one site, a 6 foot, 245 jack guy, thinks he's a womanizer, playboy. Let's see, hold on. Here's off Wikipedia. This is straight from Wikipedia. The series centers around Johnny Bravo, a sunglass-wearing, muscular, conceited narcissist with a dimwit self-proclaimed womanizer with a 1960s surfer vibe and a pompadour. Yeah, so he thinks he's all king, suave, and smooth, and the whole joke is, in fact, that, he never gets the girl. He went on a date with a deer. And, the only two women who actually seem to tolerate him is his mom, which, understandable, and a little girl named Susie, which, creepily, he tells her not to talk to her until she becomes a co-ed. If the show is, everything about the show is accurate in that universe, that's disturbing because Johnny's an adult telling that to a 7-year-old. Yeah. But now I'm actually going to do I have a theory in my head on Johnny Bravo and put it out there. But yeah, the whole Johnny Bravo is he thinks he's smooth, he thinks he's suave, he gets beaten up by women left to right, and we love the show. The show ran for 65 episodes. 179 segments with 2 specials. He did do a crossover with Scooby-Doo, but pretty much who hasn't? But yeah, Johnny Bravo. Why was it so popular watching this giant buff idiot not get the check? Also, a 6 foot, 245 buff guy who at least one shallow chick hasn't at least taken home. That's saying something. Alright, next show is
Sheep in the Big City.
Sheep in the Big City. This one is a slighter deep cut. It is, I think, a Cartoon Network, yeah. Created by the same people who did Offbeats, which I never heard of, and Kablam. That's a good show. But yeah, it ran for 26 episodes for 2 seasons. And the premise of this show is the government has made a powerful ray gun, but it has a small problem. There's a hole, a sheep-shaped hole. So the government is after the sheep to put in this ray gun, so the sheep wants the farm to live a happy life, runs away to the big city, and the government is constantly chasing him. Also, he falls in love with a poodle. So, yeah. Why was this show good? It kind of Courage the Cowardly Dog, Rocky Bullwinkle style, but that premise alone, it should not have been a good show. You walk in going what drugs are you on? Speaking of drugs, this one's going to hurt me a lot because it was my favorite movie growing up. That's right, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. A show, series, comic, whatever. If The Last Ronin's out and I haven't bought it, that's a shame on me. I'll play that on Twitch eventually. So basically, the basic synopsis of the show is Master Splinter, a normal rat, grew up, lived inside of a dojo, or was the pet of a noble ninja Japanese person who taught martial arts in the way of the ninja. Splinter loves him because, for some reason. They get lost in the sewers of New York. He finds 4 turtles. And then ooze, a chemical, sprays all of them. And then they mutate. And then Splinter raises and teaches 4 turtles to be ninjas in New York City. In the late 80s, early 90s. All the way up to sometimes modern day. I love the Turtles, I really do, but that premise alone should not have worked. New York is weird as is, but I'm pretty sure a lot of people would have seen 4 human-sized, sometimes very big human-sized turtles run around fighting other humanoid creatures and actual ninjas. The show should not have worked. I'm glad it did because it's highly entertaining and came with a lot of good video games. One very hard one to beat, a very hard arcade game to beat. But I'm trying to see if the last Shonen actually came out. Yeah, but yeah, Secret of Ooze was my jam back in the day. Like, that was my favorite video game, my favorite movie as a child. Next up is Batman. Yes, I know. I love Batman too. Grew up on the 90s cartoon. But the best descriptor for this, I can't even say it. I'm going to take it away from let the fat electrician in his Jake McNasty video explain Batman perfectly.
Hell, even Batman is an anti-hero because at the end of the day, it's more relatable to do karate in your garage, dress up like a bat, and then run around town beating up clowns and dudes on steroids than it is to be perfect.
Yeah, like I said, Batman, parents unfortunately died when he was a kid in front of him. Instead of taking his massive wealth, getting some therapy, he instead devotes his life to learning martial arts and everything else that he could underneath the sun. Then to run around in spandex, latex, spandex, leather, sometimes armor, depending on timeline, and beat up criminals and the mentally insane while spending a ton of his money building a goddamn space station in a universe where there are pretty much gods like Superman. The show is illogical, but we love it. And it's one of those things where if Batman was pitched today without, like, if most of his comic books were pitched today without the history of comic books, you would look at it going like, what the hell's wrong with you? No. There's no way a wealthy American playboy philanthropist, watch me butcher the word, swear vengeance against the criminals after witnessing the death of his parents. They'd be like, no, out of my office. And last, and certainly not least, the most egregious one that I can think of is
I wanna be the very best, like no one ever was.
That's right, it's Pokemon. Yeah, now, the show itself is so weird once you put it into the context of everything. It's like, I'm trying to just double check one thing as I'm just... Okay, got the thing. Yeah, so here's the premise of Pokemon. Tell me how outlandish this is. Ash Ketchum, according to this, is a 10-year-old boy who gets sent out on his own to travel the world to capture and enslave the animals of this world with no supervision to force them to fight against each other for his own glory. Oh yeah, and also gotta remember, there are no actual real, just a cow, a pig, fish, bird. So all the meat that they're eating in the world of Pokemon are just Pokemon. Yes, this is an entire world where at the age of 10, so 4th graders, same ages as the show Recess, South Park, all those things, 4th grade, you get sent out without supervision, parental supervision, to just wander the world and capture, enslave, and eat the creatures of that world. Pokemon should not be a hit show based off that logic. There's a reason why Digimon is the better show, but Pokemon has the better, I guess, marketability would be the best way to Describe it with the video games and the movies and the adorable creatures and the fact that they can just keep bringing in more creatures. You know, I think episode 1, Professor Oak basically said we know all the Pokemon. But that is it. Tell me, is there a anime or cartoon that you can think of that, based off the the standard plot of the show, should not have been as popular as it is? That's basically here. Also, did you enjoy me live streaming hockey last night in my VTuber mode? I don't know. It's just something I'm testing. I do VTube on Twitch and Kick when I play video games. So I figured, do a live stream while watch hockey. That's it. That's all I have. Go check out the other stuff, and I'll see you weird people later.